Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the moment is here. The thing that everybody was waiting for. Let's be real. It's the Bren and Sideshow cast. That's right, from the Overwatch League. We are jumping into it at the Overwatch World Cup 2019. We've got Italy and we've got India facing off against each other. And they've traveled far and wide to get here in beautiful sunny Los Angeles.
And this is our Group C coverage, a first-round matchup, and that means that we'll see Busan, Hollywood, Rialto, and we'll see if the series gets any further than that. It is a first-to-3 match, which means if you manage to reach that third map and you've got the 3-0, you have sent the other team home, and both of these teams have traveled a long, long way to get here.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, as we head into Busan, both of these teams have a lot of history between them as well. In fact, the coaching organization, the coaching staff for Italy has been helping out Team India as well. A little bit of goodwill here. So there's a lot of information that's being shared between these two teams now, but as we get into it, you can see Italy going to be running a standard double shield composition. They've got the Doomfist, they've got the Reaper. India coming out with some absolutely wacky stuff. Instead of running the classic El Clasico with the Doomfist and the Reaper, going to be going for the Hands, are going to be going for the Farah.
And I love that as well. Soul Hunter is the shot caller for Team India. We got a chance to speak to him earlier on, and they said because the coach of Team Italy has worked with them so much, they had to throw something different at them. But
well,
this May wall, perfect for being able to isolate Destiny.
Exactly. Italy have read them like a book. They've already switched over to the May, swapping over to compositions, and Dragon Eddy. This guy plays for, Samsung. This guy is a competitor in Overwatch Contenders. And he's coming at them ready and waiting. In fact, switching over to a hero we haven't seen in quite some time, the D.Va. A little bit of a flex onto them. And a great start from Team Italy, managed to secure the point.
And a wonderful halt as well from Asso at the end there to be able to pick up K-Cot. And it really is on Dragon Eddy now, who is playing that D.Va to shut down these kind of players. There's going to be a lot of long-range spam coming onto Asso's shield. And they're looking for the picks with the halt and the hooks again.
Well,
but aggressive engagement.
Maywall set up, Coalescence popped off as well, and just as quick as I started the team fight, there we go, it's ended already. Those two picks means that India sent straight to the back of the respawn. You're going to have to reset. Soul Hunter picks up a little bit of a pick there onto Adna near the end. Unfortunately, doesn't matter too much. It's a Lucio who's going to be able to speed boost back into the fight and get back with his team pretty quickly.
And I think what you've got to understand here is that India have got to play a little bit slower. It's Italy that want to control the tempo and play very aggressive into them with the May Reaper. Yep. But India will be able to put out huge amounts of spam if they can just avoid getting locked down. But Destiny frozen up again and does fall.
Well, the point's going to get flipped here, and in the end, the ultimates get thrown out by Team India, but they get little to no value as Italy comes straight back in. Lil Young coming straight at him with the Death Blossom. It's going to be a quick and easy 2 kills and another flip of the point. 60% in counting right now for Italy. They're looking dominant. They've got India pretty well read, I'd say.
Yes, I would definitely say that. They have a spy within the camp, Brennan. It doesn't almost seem fair, but India have had a good run here so far. They've been boot camping with the Harrisburg University. They know that they need to play something different in this matchup, but now they go back to the mirror. Their plan didn't quite work. Halt engagement, very aggressive again from Italy.
Yeah, we're going to see a lot of ultimates being thrown out here, including the Blizzard by Harpy, but look at this. Another instantly won team fight there by Team Italy, using the minimal amount of ultimates needed. The Coalescence, great for trying to engage into this, or even just kind of counter-engage against what India are running. And now, the final moments of this round, you can see India panicking, switching over to the Wrecking Ball, trying to contest this. Nightmare is going to try and reach the point, but it looks like nobody's even close as of yet. Round 1, immediately going to be going to India, or Italy, I should say.
Yes, Italy with a strong, aggressive performance there, and a good way of being able to engage, a good understanding of what they needed to do with those ults. I would also say, though, that India tried something. They experimented with different compositions, with the poke composition, the Hanzo, the Farah, and it looks like they're going to be going back to that. They want to throw Italy off their game.
And I will say as well, this section of Busan is particularly good for a lot of these poking compositions. Now the Farah, not necessarily so. There's not too much cover when it comes to high in the sky. However, you can get a lot of off angles as well. It's a very wide open map here on Busan. Italy, we'll see, they seem to be prepared for this. As we've been saying previously, the coaching staff at Italy, a lot of them have been assisting India with a lot of their coaching as well.
Yep.
So they're going to be well versed when it comes to what they're running, the players and whatnot. But here we are, they're rolling out, trying to reach the center of the point. They've got a feel for what India are running, and Italy going to be backing off slightly, Presumably going to be trying to change up their composition. The accretion into the air. It's
That's
cute,
an
Dragon
optimistic
Eddy.
one.
Optimistic, but it ended up hitting the rafters.
Okay, but they have gone back to the maze, so their answer to this long-range poke composition coming out from India is to get rid of the Doomfist, who can be spammed down from a distance, and instead try very fast engagements. And a lot depends on the Lucio players here. You have to be ready to disengage. And Eminence has actually switched over as well. He's gone back to the Mercy, so they don't even have the ability to get back.
But
It's all on
from the
CYX.
side, though, CYX is absolutely demolishing right now on the Ash. Tons of damage being popped out, but they cannot win this war of attrition that's on the point. Italy come out on top once again. Off the back of Asso, he just took positioning, laid down the shields, and because of that, they had the advantage when it comes to the point pressure that they were able to apply onto the rest of India.
I think as well, India are really missing this Lucio. We'll see whether Eminence and Soul Hunter make changes now. We've seen them make a couple of adjustments throughout this series, but when you have a team playing as aggressively into you as Italy is, you need that Lucio to be able to speed boost disengage. As they come forward, now the main wall cuts them off again.
Split off again, and like you said, Josh, it's the Lucio that's hurting them, the Coalescence. This is going to clean them down. As you can see, Heartbeat cleans them up with the 3K. 3 kills for him, 3 eliminations. Going to send the rest of Team India back to the respawn queue once more. It's going to be 40% and counting right now. Italy looking very dominant.
Yep, they have a strat, they know how to execute it, and their play has been clean so far. Both DPS getting up to their ults as well, but you've got to expect that Italy are going to go for the exact same thing. And if you're not ready for it...
Now, here we have it. Maywall's popped up. He's going to segregate the rest of the team here. Little Young uses their blossom, initiates into this fight, and another one team fight instantly. And this is kind of, you're really seeing the wheat separated from the chaff here when it comes to the caliber of some of these teams here. Remember, India, this is a blossoming nation when it comes to the esports scene. They have a lot of issues when it comes to the pings running on servers. A lot of them can't even really play proper rank games because the servers just aren't really necessarily available to them.
Absolutely.
But the fact that they're here, they've made it here, they want to try and perform and put on a performance right now. But Italy, tried and tested players from a lot of teams.
India's starting to flank around the right-hand side. They're going to be looking for picks with K-Cod. That's their opening.
This is
but
it,
unfortunately.
The final fight, and this is for the map essentially, because Italy, they just need 10 more percent and they've got it, and these picks are setting it up very nicely. It's a last-ditch flux from India, but it's not going to matter, as it's going to be Italy cleaning them all up. The supercharger laid down is just a cherry on top, and that's going to be 100-2-0 on both consecutive rounds. Italy taking map 1 against India.
Very coordinated play there from Team Italy. You can tell that they have a strategy and they engage on it very well. The first map goes in their favor, but I think for Team India, they tried something different on the first map. It's not a strategy that they have been coached on for a long time. It's not something that they were well practiced on. It was a curveball to throw Italy off their game.
And I tell you though, I'm all for it, honestly. I feel like if you come into this tournament and you know that, maybe you haven't had the resources that a lot of these other teams have, the practice that a lot of these other teams have, the experience on stages like this, you need to throw something different at a lot of these teams who are going to be more well-versed running the Reaper Doomfist compositions, even the double shield compositions in general. And I like that India are attempting that. I think this says a lot for how they prepared for this match coming into this. And they've traveled a long way to get here. And we were talking to them about their travel plans. They went from India to China, from China to the east coast of America, where they boot camped at Harrisburg for a very long time.
Spent a week with Harrisburg University, getting coached by Joe Meister, who I'm sure many of you are familiar with from his tenure in the Overwatch League. And then flew all the way back over to LA.
Back to the West Coast. And I mean, I did some mental arithmetic in the break here, Josh.
You are known for that, your math skills.
Yes, and I added it all up, the miles and whatnot. Firstly, they're going to be laughing when it comes to booking their flights through Delta. Going to be getting all sorts of deals on that. But secondly, they traveled around 40,000 miles, or kilometers, I should say.
Incredible.
A ridiculous distance for this team to come from, almost on the other side of the globe, and they really have come very far for this. And chatting to them, you can just tell for Team India just how chuffed they are to be here. A lot of these players as well, as we've been saying, it's a budding esports scene. They don't get many opportunities to showcase what they're capable of. And the World Cup is just as good of an opportunity as any to really just showcase that, this nation is just starting to get out there when it comes to the esports scene.
Absolutely. I mean, we talked to the players and we were saying, what kind of scrim experience are you really able to get? Because, you're in India, you don't have local servers to be able to play Overwatch on. They said, well, we get about 60 ping over to Singapore when we play over there. But a lot of us like to play ranked in Europe because the player base is larger and you get games more consistently. So the ping there for those kind of players is way above 100,
Yeah.
160 towards 200. And so an opportunity like this, and this year's Overwatch World Cup in 2019, the format is great for teams like India, teams like Saudi Arabia and Paraguay and Philippines, who are also in Group C, to be able to come and play on a zero ping LAN setup and go toe-to-toe and get that experience against more established teams like, for example, Team Italy, who have players like Dragon Eddy and their head coach Joint, who was here as their 7th player, and just get that experience against them and have
Yeah.
time to be able to build things up and take experience back to their home scene.
Absolutely, yeah. And now, if you're unfamiliar with the way the setup works here at the Overwatch World Cup 2019, well, fret not. I'm here to explain it. And essentially the way it works is these initial rounds, they have a preordained map pool. So we're going to be going to Hollywood next, followed up by Rialto. And this is generally set in stone. The next round of games, you may have noticed on the schedule that was running, a couple of these teams have had bye rounds. Now what that means is basically over the course of the Overwatch World Cup and the history of it, year on year, these are the teams that have outperformed a lot of the other ones, and as a result, they received a higher seed, which means they get to skip this initial round, play less games. There's a bit of an advantage coming in for some of the more veteran teams. You can see Japan, Sweden, teams like that already have the bye, so they're going to be skipping this first round of games that Italy and India have to play, which is a bit of peace of mind at the end of the day, because remember, it's a single elimination bracket.
It absolutely is.
So, as strange as this sounds, you know, India, they've traveled all the way here, 14,000 kilometers, but 2 maps stands between them and going home as it stands right now.
Absolutely, and 2 maps between Italy and moving on to face Japan as well, who got a bye in Group C. So a lot on the line for all of these teams that are happening all across the World Cup. And if you want to go and catch a bunch of different games, there are 5 different streams running at the moment as well. So if Italy, India ain't your jam, you can go and watch on the Overwatch League channel where Australia is playing against New Zealand, Contenders channel where UK is playing against Iceland, for example, and a couple of other streams that are dotted around as well, which I'm sure you'll be able to find. But we're here to cover Italy, India, which I think promises to be a little closer than the control map would indicate, because although India are definitely still on the back foot and trying to adjust, they throw a curveball in that first map, and when they actually come to the mirror matchup, I would expect them to be a little more practiced with it. We saw some of their show matches where they played against Harrisburg University, who are the top team out of TESPA at the moment, top collegiate team, and there were a few maps where they were able to hold their own. So hopefully over the course of Hollywood and Rialto and however much later in the series we see really truly what India is capable of.
Yeah, and for now we're just going to be waiting for the teams to get ready in the lobby and get prepared to play into Hollywood. There's a few little settings that they have to adjust just to before they get into the game and before we actually start this one up. It's a massive undertaking, as I'm sure you can imagine, running this many games at a singular time. It's a lot of working parts that have to be working all at the same time, so we appreciate any and all patience. And I'm sure I was, you know, just tinkering in the chat a little bit earlier, just chatting to the citizens of Twitch chat, and a couple of India fans as well, just watching as well.
No, absolutely. I mean, the game is
waiting.
Overwatch isn't a large game within India, but it's certainly a scene in which things are starting to develop. And the organization Global Esports was the team that really started picking up a bunch of these Indian players and chose to try and build the scene within India and other locations around the world that aren't really known for their esports space, and partnered with Harrisburg University. So like we said, these guys have been boot camping for a while, and they know the map pool coming into it, so they should be practiced on Hollywood. I'm expecting to see more of a mirror matchup here, honestly, against Italy. I think as we get started with Hollywood, India probably not going to play the stranger compositions or the poke compositions that they were attempting earlier. Though the Bastion from CYX would be fantastic. I actually think that that would be a great play for India. Yes. You know, if you think you're outmatched in the head-to-head with stuff like the May Reaper, with the Doomfist Reaper, then why not go for a Bastion setup? It's incredibly powerful in this meta.
Throw out some unconventional pieces, if you will. And it looks like they are going to be doing exactly that. They're going for these unconventional hero picks. Italy seems to have a read on this. You can see Heartbeat is already defaulting onto the Sombra. I'll be curious if he sticks with this, because an EMP is often one of the only ways to break a lot of these holes. It's one of the more consistent ways. Again, you farm up the EMP, you try and get picks using the hack, and we'll see what Heartbeat can actually end up doing. Heartbeat For now though, India going to be spamming out K-Cot, running the far, Heartbeat. Looks like it's going to swap, and they're going to be switching back to this Mei.
And the Mei Reaper is a very classic setup to be able to break the Pharah Bastion. We've seen this a lot throughout the Gauntlet with these lower level teams, but it requires you to be able to rotate effectively and get in a position to close space. A lot is on K-Cot here to do damage as they approach, so that he has the barrage available to peel for CYX.
We'll see what they're capable of, and Italy just getting into position right now, using these Mei Ice Walls. Look at this, blocking the line of sight. This is super smart right now. The hold's going to be used pretty early on. They're going to start to contest the point.
Oh, Eminence!
Look at that, Eminence down! The Mercy out of the fight. That's a critical pickup right now for Italy, and it should have cracked this defense wide open. They're still going to try and take this now. One more pick should do it. Look at this. Nightmare forced to contest down onto the point here for India. India just to try and basically stop them from any and all cap time. But with those two picks, that should do it. And there you have it, Italy. They cracked the point open like a nice runny egg.
They managed to find a beautiful halt actually onto Eminence and then did a lot of damage over to him. So slightly too aggressive positioning is punished effectively by Italy, and then they run over the Orisa on the ground when there is just no threat from the Pharah. It was a decent attempt from K-Cot to go for the barrage at the end, but it was just too little too late. And Italy are able to effectively break that Bastion hold. They look fairly clean with their pushes so far.
Yeah, this is a team that's well versed at playing at a high level. And moving forward, they're going to be looking to try and set a new standard, I think, for this Italy team in the World Cup. A lot of opportunities, but the fight is initiated immediately. You can see the coalescence being used here by Freyu. And they really didn't even need the additional healing output. They didn't need the additional damage output because the picks were already there. And as soon as you lose two of these players, in this day and age in Overwatch, the fight is over. And there you have it, pushing them all the way back. India forced to reset once more.
Forced to reset, yes, but that was a fight where the ultimate advantage was really defining what the flow of the game was. And now we see K-Cot move on to the Doomfist, so they want to go for that one-shot potential. The Doomfist Reaper combo, absolute classic.
Caught out of position here a little bit. As you can see, taking the off angles, just pumping in damage, and Nightmare is just pushed over immediately. All of these kills rolling in right now for Italy. And India don't really stand a chance. They try to contest that.
The aggression from Italy is just so good. The Asso and Dragon Eddy are taking aggressive positions, cycling their shields very well, and then Lil Young gets right up in their face. And India haven't really chosen to speed boost disengage at all throughout this series so far, and they are really struggling to push through choke points. So, yeah. It's a difficult thing to work around, but now Italy has all the ults again, so we're going to see an ult showdown on both sides, because India finally have both tank ultimates available. They choose to engage with Coalescence.
Flux is going to be used here. No Soundbarrier to counteract it, but it only connects onto Destiny. In fact, now they're going to be coming back in, re-engaging with the Soundbarrier now from India. They have ultimates to work with. Italy immediately, look at this. Very good patience from them. Are using the Soundbarrier to try and disengage, and they're going to wait. So they're wasting this the Supercharger. Going to let it be used now from India, and now it's time to recontest because they've got the ultimates ready and waiting. The Soundbarrier is going to be used along with the Supercharger. They lay it in, and this is great gameplay right now from Italy.
Yeah, wonderful Bongo Blossom. It's a fantastic combo. The Death Blossom with the Supercharger just outputs a huge amount of damage. Perhaps a little questionable to engage with the Sound Barrier instead of the Coalescence. That would normally be your default, but it absolutely ensures that they take that point and continue their momentum forwards. And Heartbeat can play so aggro now, but he has to watch out! Oh, okay, great counterpunch from K-Cot.
Caught out of position like that. He goes down. The Coalescence now has to be used by Italy. They still want to fight this. Still going to commit ultimates. And it looks like they may have an edge as K-Cot goes down. But Nightmare battles back. The Coalescence by India is going to get used. And that is going to give them the heal advantage in this fight. Italy forced to disengage. Forced to recontest at a later date.
Dragon Eddy is a fantastic player for Team Italy. You can tell that he really has a lot of that experience and talent that he's taken over. We saw him on D.Va in the first map, and now on Sigma he's able to apply a lot of pressure and playing off angles that are really nice. But India's stabilized, and it's on Italy to try and complete this time.
See what they can do now as they begin to engage. The accretion by Dragon Eddy doesn't pick up any kills. The meter strike's also going to be forced out now. Italy looking for a pick, and they are going to find it in the form of Nightmare, and they are just running India all the way down. The picks are just coming through thick and fast. And 3 minutes, 01 on the clock. They're going to try and contest with the Wrecking Ball, but Nightmare just not quick enough. 3 minutes, 1 second is what Italy have on the clock.
And that is an absolutely huge time bank. Italy destroyed that. That kind of last-minute defense from India looked like it was stabilizing to a reasonable degree, but Soul Hunter at the end tried to pop his sound barrier, unfortunately dropped Nightmare, who was a little too far forwards on the Orisa, so they didn't get enough value out of that, and then Italy's ults closed it out. It's going to be very tough for India to be able to set a time anywhere near the same level as Italy, but we'll see what they're capable of on point A. I think for India, this is much more about getting that experience and being able to put up a fight rather than expecting to make a deep run in the bracket.
It's interesting that India decided to defend first as their choice when it comes to the side. They wanted to try and let Italy set the pace, if you will. Moving forward, a lot of teams, they like to choose to attack first. It means you know exactly kind of where you need to defend up to. It's considered to be an advantage in most cases.
Yep, you can choose the tempo of the fights.
But India don't care about that.
Absolutely not.
They play their own games, you know. They're coming out here swinging. And a reminder as well, the winner of this series is going to be going on to play Japan. Japan received a bye into the next round as based off of their previous performances in the World Cup.
And that's a pretty scary team to be going up against.
Oh, very
honestly.
much so.
They have some very talented players that have made waves in the World Cup in previous years.
Well, here we have it. Pretty standard defense setup by Italy. They're going to be running the Mei, running the Reaper. And lo and behold, double shield. Now India, something a little bit more exciting. The Hanzo, the Farah. A lot of pressure on CYX, on KCOT, to try and find these opening picks, to try and take these off angles.
Yep, they need to be putting damage down. They should be able to apply a lot of pressure onto Aso's Orisa shield. But what they need to watch out for is what got them caught out so many times on Busan. When Italy go aggressive, which they will as soon as the Mei wall is used, they need to be able to disengage or split themselves up.
KCOT's taking so much damage right now from the Mei right clicks, but they realize the Fire Mercy is over. We can take the ground war. And you see this, Italy taking advantage of this, the aggression from them. They're going to push forward with the speed boost. This is the kind of advantage that Italy are running with when they have the Lucio and India do not.
Yep, and they're playing it perfectly. When you have the Lucio advantage, you can take control of the tempo of the fights, and they're doing a great job. Dragon Eddie just making sure that he shields off one of these DPS players and continues to put a lot of damage. These are very ambitious rocks. They could be comboed with ults, but I love to see it anyway. You know, it's a little bit of flair from Dragon Eddie.
Yep, save it. You know, you want it for those highlight movies.
Exactly.
We'll see India now try and contest the point a little bit.
Oh, very split up here though. Wraithbomb forced super early from Lil Young.
Now here we have it, but they're actually going to pick up a kill here. Coalescence forced out by Italy. They need to try and salvage this fight, and they will salvage it in the end after Dragon Eddie pushes forward and collects the kill onto Soul Hunter. And I've got to say, I mean, that was a great start for India, but the lack of speed boost engages is really hurting them here. They're stuck on this Ana pick for Soul Hunter. Remember the main caller for the team? They're farming up the Nano boost. They need to get some sort of value out of this now, or at least some big Bionades to try and open this up, because this defense just doesn't seem crackable right now in its current state.
Yeah, I think it's all about how you put pressure from KCOT. I really think that he needs to be doing a lot of damage behind the shield. Let's take a look and see how these ultimates are used by Team India. Looking like maybe a Nano Barrage will be coming through.
Oh, here we have it. Look at this. Nano Boost is going to be offloaded. The Barrage ready and waiting. KCOT hovering over them. He waits as well. Brilliant patience coming out from him. Collects one kill, but it might be enough now. CYX going to take the 1v1, but Lil Young coming out on top. The Blizzard from Italy.
Oh, the DPS for Italy. They are turning things. That absolutely should not have been their fight to win, but Hearthbeat with a Blizzard on the point finds 3 of them. Gives them the victory crouch.
Hey, you know, Josh, sometimes it be like that.
Sometimes it really do.
Sometimes it be like that. You're jumping in your ranked games. You think you've won. You've got the opening pick off. You use the ultimates. It's going well. But sometimes it just goes a little bit better for the enemy team. And in that case, Italy, I mean, look at this now. On the defense, they have a supercharger. They have a flux. They have a death blossom. Lil Young wants to offload it into the enemy team along with the supercharger. It's a 3K. And that is, as we say in the industry, a one fight.
That is what you tend to say in the industry. I've never heard anyone else quite refer as that. Team India now only have 1 minute remaining, and they really don't have many large ultimates to be able to use.
This is BM.
But so aggressive!
Oh my word!
A 5-man flux, so aggro. Adna is getting unbelievable value out of his speed boost. I mean, this is just a prime example of how effective Lucio is at the top levels.
And there's a couple of fights to go to Soul Hunter. As soon as the Nano Boost was used, they didn't get value out of it. Switched back over to Lucio. It's imperative. You need it. The speed boost is so crucial to try and get these engages and disengages at a professional level of play. And India, they just have 27 seconds remaining now to try and make something happen. They need to cap this point. Otherwise, the map is going to be going over to Italy. You can see ultimates being unloaded. Coalescence coming out by Italy. Freya looking for value. And Ace's going to be picking up the first pick. Italy getting 2 quick, clean kills off the back of it now. The Coalescence from India trying to salvage this fight whatever they can. Eminence moves forward, but he's brought down almost immediately. The Meteor Strike from K-Cot is going to be getting no value whatsoever. And Italy look to be taking another map in this series, getting one step closer to facing Japan.
Very, very clean play again from Italy. And they do take the win. It's a wonderful setup that they've got with their May Reaper. They are decisive with their calls and with their aggression, able to isolate players and pull India apart. And that was just absolute dominance from Dragon Eddie and the rest of the squad.
And this is kind of what we expected from Italy in this tournament. We knew that India were going to be underdogs coming into this.
Oh, huge underdogs, of course.
And Italy, there's a lot of pressure on their backs to perform as well. I mean, the European teams, they got a lot to prove these days after their poor showing in contenders recently.
Yes.
A lot of the European players, it's kind of spouted as one of the weaker regions when it comes to the wider game of Overwatch and the way it's been played. So there is a lot of pressure on a lot of these European teams and European players to perform here on the World Cup stage. Now, Italy moving forward, this looks like a very good showing for them. But I'm curious now how it will stack up a little bit later on, assuming that they manage to take this Rialto map that's going to be coming up.
And Rialto's the big one, right? Because it's the deciding map for this series. It's win or go home for India. They've traveled so far to be able to get here in the first place. And I want to see more out of them. I want to see them try these Bastion comps and see if they can get a setup that works. I want to try and see it paired with a Batiste, perhaps, so that you have the Immortality field and it's much harder for you to be able to get run down. Or maybe try some speed boost disengages and predicting when Italy are going to go towards them. I think it bears mentioning once more, though, that India have been playing and boot camping under Harrisburg University and Joe Meister, but also for the last 3 months have been coached by Team Italy's head coach.
Yes. So if you think that's a little bit odd, it happens in the scene all the time, and it's a kind of a gesture of goodwill. A lot of these teams, they just want to assist each other, they want to help each other on the wider stage. And if you can assist a lot of these teams, maybe help them go a little bit further, so be it. Just so happens, though, that they ended up facing each other in the initial round
An incredible coincidence.
So a bit of a coincidence there. Unfortunate, really, for India as well, because they know the tendencies of a lot of these players. The coach is going to be there telling them, this is what to look out for. Maybe K-Cot's going to be popping off on the fire or whatnot. However, it is interesting, and I do like as well, I got to say it, I like the fact that India are throwing some new stuff at the wall. It reminds me very much of almost the Chinese style of Overwatch as well, in some ways. Just kind of throwing heroes to the wall, seeing what sticks in a lot of scenarios. And we'll see what they can make happen on Rialto. It's a map that, sometimes in the past we've seen teams pull out wacky compositions. The pirate ship-esque compositions.
Yeah.
Always an option. I'd love to see a bit of Bastion coming out from India.
I think the Bastion Fire is honestly their best option here because it forces the May Reaper kind of compositions that Italy's been playing to take very long rotations. And at that point, you will see mistakes start to come out of Team Italy. They've looked incredibly clean so far, but the resistance has not been huge from Team India. So I want to see them put up a little bit more of a fight on Rialto, particularly on the defense, I think, and try and set up a structured system around their Bastion so that they can put K-Cot in a position to succeed on his Farah as well. It's a very strong map for that kind of setup, and hopefully we see a closer game than we have previously.
I'll tell you this though, Josh. Recently, it was late at night, around 3 in the morning, and I was watching a documentary on how Parmesan cheese was made.
Yes.
And there's a lot of complexities that go into it.
There are.
So, firstly, real Parmesan cheese, genuine Parmesan cheese, is only made in one particular district of Italy. And it's a tiny sort of area.
Parmigiano?
That's it, yeah. I didn't want to try and pronounce
something
it
like that.
I actually couldn't believe it. Something like that. But genuine Parmesan cheese is made in one particular area of Italy, very small. And the way it's made, actually, is that there's a certain subtype of bacteria that lives on the grass, which the cows then digest, and it produces a unique type of dairy.
Well, I did not know that I would...
And that's why, it's a very unique thing, and they manage and sort of closely look at the exports of Parmesan cheese. So when you're shopping at the supermarkets for Parmesan cheese, make sure you check for that genuine Parmesan label, because you never know if it is genuine or not.
Well, there you go.
Might just be bog standard cheese.
There's Bren's fun fact about Italy and Italian culture for the day. As we move on into Rialto and see how they perform.
I got
Perhaps
plenty more.
On home territory, one could say.
One could say, yes. Yeah, I mean, you've been to Italy, correct?
I have, yes. I've been to Italy before. Wonderful
never
place.
Been. Did it look like this?
There are areas of Italy that look like this, for sure.
Okay.
It is also a large country. You know, not as large as India, but it's a large country.
Sure. And now we're seeing from India, they are going to be setting up with these compositions that we wanted to see from them. You can see they're running a Batiste, running a Mercy.
I do like this. The issue always is that if you flank around the right-hand side, you can get around behind India's setup, which is why this meta has developed slightly and where the Bastion is held.
But Italy are matching them with a very odd composition of their own. They want to try and match them with this Hanzo and the Farah, and they're even running a Zenyatta. I didn't think that hero existed anymore, but here we have it. They're coming at them live right here in Los Angeles. Heartbeat comes at them, already picks up 2 kills with the Farah, and it's going to open it up. Hit the air shot, hit the air shot, please hit the air shot. Heartbeat, so many eyes on you, but CYX ends up bringing him down.
CYX getting the pick there on Heartbeat. He gets resurrected, and eventually KCOT does fall to this pressure coming out from Italy. And honestly, KCOT on the, CYX, when he was playing the Bastion at the beginning there, just got totally dropped. Asso came around on the Wrecking Ball, just slammed down into him. Wasn't possible.
Oh my word, he gets the boot there onto Destiny. Sets him off here, you can see now. I feel like there's a little bit of disrespect running around between these two teams, if you will. Italy running some unconventional compositions.
I wouldn't call it a grudge match, but I do think that, you know, with the history between these two teams, that both teams are enjoying being able to throw different stuff at their opponents, and a bit of the mind games upon mind games.
I'm not complaining if we get to see, you know, a little bit less Orisa, a little bit more Farah Hanzo. I'm all for it, you know. Here we have it. It's going to set it up with a power drive now as Asso tries to get the initiation in. He has the mines, doesn't opt to use them. It's going to just back off. Usually adaptive shield's going to be getting a bit of health from it as well. And a positioning now from India. They're not opting to take the high ground. I think this is a bit of a mistake, as you can see Asso initiating with the mines. Dragon unleashed once more. And it means that those 2 picks, Italy once again going to be running this one all the way through, one of the hardest points in the game to cap.
A wonderful slam by Asso, sets up Heartbeat for the direct hit, manages to secure that first pick. And Team India are just a little slow at being able to realize what Italy are doing. There's decent halts to slow people down, but they're not quite comboed with the rocks in time. Whereas Italy are fast, they're clean, and they're decisive. Look at that, Transcendence to save Heartbeat as he gets too close. And now, opportunity for a lot of ultimates to turn the tide of this fight.
Oh, Heartbeat though ends up using the barrage, much to his own demise. Now the flux is going to be pumped out now by Italy. And Dragonade is going to try and clutch this one up, and he will indeed do just that. As you can see, 2 picks for him. Going to get a nice little stagger kill down to Destiny as well. And it's going to be capping the second checkpoint with 5 minutes, 25 seconds in the bank. My grandmother visited India very recently.
Yes.
And she loved the country. She said the people and culture was fantastic. And she would really recommend it. One of the best places she's ever visited.
Well, there you go. Bren is now on the travel board for India, trying to recommend people holiday trips.
Never been personally, but I've actually always wanted to go ever since she told me that.
India have made a change over to the Mei here, and they're looking to engage aggressively. With this Coalescence, they're starting to fight, and Italy don't have anything to be able to reply it with. And I love this Mei pick, because you can get the freezes, get the walls, slow down Italy, and separate them off.
This is good. It's about time right now that India are biting back, if you will, and they're utilizing once more, a little bit more of the Lucio. You can see Soul Hunter, the main caller for India, utilizing that speed boost, and the Mei Wall. Again, you've got to split these players off. This is the beauty of this composition. The Mei Wall, very versatile ability. You can use it to block damage. You can use it to actually initiate a lot of these fights as well, which is the way and manner that India used it just then. Now, the question is, are they going to be able to hold this on? Now, they have a huge ult advantage. Soundfire, Supercharger, Blizzard coming into this. Lay down the Supercharger early. Seeing an initiation coming in. The Mei Wall popped up as well as the Blizzard. India going to be contributing a lot of ultimates to this fight, trying to turn this one around. But Italy, so disciplined. So patient. They disengage and they're going to wait for the ultimates to just wear off.
Still a soundbar available for Soul Hunter, but you're right. The big ults didn't really get anything there for Team India, and CYX was forced to use his Wraith form early, so he didn't get any value out of his Reaper either, and here come Italy.
Here we have it. Going to try and take the off angle. This is soundbar is used to try and counteract and counter-push Italy as they're just holding into this choke point. The Flux is available for Destiny. Does he opt to use it? Holds on to it for now. Now he opts to use it. Going to be connecting it onto 2 targets. Asso should be falling as he's brought slammed into the ground. The accretion connects onto another one. Destiny follows it up, and a great hold for India, utilizing a lot of ultimates in the process, but Italy are happy to just now disengage because look at that. The lights are starting to shine when it comes to that top right corner. You got Little Young with the Death Blossom. You got Dragon Eddie with the Flux. You got the Coalescence. Should be Italy's fight to win.
Yes, I agree, but India are still showing signs here that they can defend. I mean, Destiny played that really well. Blocking in the choke point with his kinetic grasp, buying space for the rest of his team, and rotating these abilities. Maywall comes in very early here, and Destiny's...
Whoa! CYX with the Death Blossom. 2 picks early on, but Little Young answers back. The Supercharger, or not even a Supercharger, it was a halt into the Death Blossom. Gets all the work done. The damage is definitely done as well. Italy now going to be rolling this cart through. Always a difficult point to push through now, but this gets a little bit harder, if you will. India have to try and set up a nice defense on this final point. It looks like they're going to be capable of doing so, but they have no ultimates to work with other than this Blizzard, which is about to come online.
A very nice off angle here by Heartbeat, though, and the Supercharger is dropped.
Whoa.
Nice stun in the middle of the air, but he's got his Meteor Strike and will re-engage.
Well, how we have it now, the Blizzard comes out from India. You can try and freeze up these players, and another one fight. Straight off the back of that one ultimate. Italy, a little bit of too much of an engage, I would say. I mean, it was a cutesy play from them. You saw Heartbeat trying to take off angles with the Doomfist. They even utilized the Supercharger in that fight. One of the most potent ultimates in the game, and yet India still prevailed.
And this is an incredibly defensible location on Eichenwald, and India have a great chance of being able to snarl them up in this choke point. Italy have been very good with the May Reaper compositions, with being able to engage and find these early picks, but without the May on the field, it's now India in charge of the tempo.
And here we go, the Coalescence by India. Leading it forward, again, very disciplined play by Italy. You notice how they immediately go back, and CYX gets caught out of position. That could have been a critical mistake because now Italy, look at this, the speed boost is utilized. They're taking the off angles. Heartbeat comes from the side. The Coalescence used to lead it in. Destiny so low. He's on a sliver of HP. He gets brought down and the cart is rolling into this final section. India, just a few stragglers trying to defend this one. Soul Hunter might be able to get onto the point with the sound barrier. Pops it off. CYX is going to get a little bit more health. But this point looks like it's entirely the way of Italy so far. A little bit more of a stagger attempt coming out as the Wrecking Ball swap comes.
Yeah, they come through, but it's just India trying to hold on for as long as they possibly can. Little Young out there with the Death Blossom. They close it up. Italy with 57 seconds still left on the clock as they complete Rialto.
I gotta say, very impressive defense in the final section there by India. I think Italy tried to hit him with a little bit of disrespect, tried to hit him with some unorthodox compositions. India slapped them back.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even say that Italy was running particularly unorthodox stuff once it got to the second and third sections. You know, they just subbed out the May, and it seems like Italy's strategy is much more about taking aggressive engagements and all following the calls of Adnar and working around his speed boost. They're very disciplined with how they disengage, and they're very aggressive and decisive with how they take fights aggressively when they're on defense or offense. But Team India required those gnarly choke points to be able to get the advantage in the fights. And they were able to execute when they had large ultimate advantage. It's just in the neutral fight where Italy overpowers them.
It's now India's time to attack and push forward in this. And I'm curious as to what they're going to be utilizing.
What would you go with, Brent, with your Team India in this scenario?
It seems like they love these double projectile compositions where they can take off angles, maybe try and get a quick pick off on the side.
Yeah.
And this hasn't been working for them. Now,
not particularly. I wouldn't say that CYX has had many picks that I can remember throughout this series. He did get a pick on Heartbeat when he was on the Pharah, but generally speaking, he has been blocked by the double shield setup that Italy is almost always running. It's very hard to play a pick hero like Hanzo when both of the shields are in position. You have to be taking very aggressive off angles, and then you can be punished. Now,
the Reaper Fire is something that a lot of teams like to run, and I don't know if they've got that in their wheelbarrow, if you will, along with the rest of the guarding tools, but we'll see, really. India just seem to be rolling out with the tried and tested for them. It's definitely tried, not quite tested.
Absolutely, yes. This is a strategy that they haven't scrimmed too much because they weren't expecting to go up against Italy in the last couple of months when they've been playing against each other. But this is quite nice. There are large opportunities for the Hanzo and the Fire to take position, take high ground opportunities, and put damage onto Italy. What they have to be worried about is their tanks getting run over. Gotta monitor that speed boost from Adnar.
Yep. Look at this off angle though by CYX. This is what they were trying to accomplish, pumping in this consistent damage around these shields. Now they've gone up with the Maywall for Italy, which means that they try and engage around it, and early Coalescence is also farmed up.
But I love this. They've managed to disengage. This is the first time that we've really seen India get out of a fight when ults were used for Italy.
Not even a speed boost necessary. As you can see, Soul Hunter is actually on that Mercy, and they still hold strong. No casualties as of yet. In fact, they're going to have a Coalescence advantage. Let's see how they want to initiate in. The Ice Block is used pretty early on by Heartbeat. The Maywall popped up. Now the Coalescence try and stay into this point by Eminence. The heals, and the damage is there, and they pick up the first kill. The barrage is ready and waiting by KCON. Doesn't even want to use it, though. I feel like he thinks the fight is won here, and it looks like it very much might be.
Oh, Heartbeat is getting very close to his Blizzard, and he actually uses it at the same time as the barrage comes down as well. Dragon Eddie's just eating it all up. I don't know how this fight's going to end, but the spawn advantage is still in favor of India. This is just mental.
This is ridiculous. Dragon Eddie kept alive. The Coalescence coming in just for him. He still has the Flux available to him. Now he's going to be trying to contest the rest of them. It looked like that fight was won for Team India, but it's not the case. They're running them down, back to the spawn, back you go, India. The accretion from the back, Dragon Eddie picks up another one.
The weird thing is, though, Team India have such a respawn advantage, and with that late death onto Asso, they should actually have an opportunity to keep this cart pushing. They even burn the Resurrect to get Nightmare back into it earlier on, get that shield down on the payload, and now they've got space advantage over point A. So even though that fight was pure chaos, and Italy on paper won it, it's India pushing forward.
Supercharger laid down, Dragon Strike just to hit it on the head, but it doesn't even matter. Lily Young in the backline has managed to contribute quite a lot, just to hold it at his disposal, and he's picked up 3 kills for it. Italy able to defend this one once more.
And the Reaper versus Farah ends up taking down KCOT and Soul Hunter. India getting snarled up a little bit more. And Team Italy have ults to work with here. That sound barrier is going to be huge. Team India don't really have something like that. Oh, although they might in about a minute's time as Soul Hunter makes the switch onto Lucio himself. And now we've got pure mirror compositions. And we've seen so far that Italy dominate this mirror composition.
Now, here's an opening right now for India. If they force out, okay, the Flux is going to be used very early on. Italy want to use their soundbite to try and stay alive in this fight. Lil Young with the Death Blossom. Doesn't get cancelled out, but he gets little to no value out of it. In the end, now the Coalescence is going to be utilized by Italy to try and lead in this fight once more. Lil Young able to pick up a kill to KCON, and usually that should seal the deal when it comes to these team fights, but India want to continue to push. They want to continue to fight this. They have a bit of a positioning advantage. They retreat back into this little building, mosaic art piece. I don't really know what you call this. It's very pretty though. But we're going to see them now as they have the spawn advantage, try and fight this continually. But Italy, utilizing the supercharger, it's going to be a very easily won fight.
But I think India can be fairly happy about that, because if that supercharger had been used later, India would not have had another opportunity to engage. Now, yes, they have to navigate the Blizzard, they have to navigate the Flux as well as the Death Blossom, but there is still potential if they can try and bait certain pieces out.
I know what they want to do here. Blizzard into the Flux, I can feel it. Dragon 80 Flux utilized early on. We're going to start to see it. The Blizzard now thrown down onto the ground. They're all trapped in the nest of the belly of the beast. As you can see, the fight continues. Little Young manages to pick up the kills for the rest of Italy. And that is going to be India sent home out of the tournament. And Italy continue forwards in our bracket. They will be facing against Japan in just a short while.
Very clean fight by Italy. Well played by everyone on that team. Dragon Eddie, Adnar, 2 key players to watch out for in that match against Japan. And they seem like they play the Reaper May compositions very, very well. Shout out as well to Joint, you know, their coach, the spy in the camp for Team India.
Giving them the inside info.
Yeah, and for India, they are going home, and they came a long, long way to be able to get here, 14,000 kilometers. But I think it must be said, when we went and talked to them and we were discussing their plans and how the experience has been, they were just delighted to be here. They were ecstatic. They saw Team USA come in, and they were
buzzing.
They were too shy to even go up and talk to them. I mean, this was a truly excellent, and will continue to be, because BlizzCon has barely begun, a truly excellent experience for the players on Team India, and good experience to get under your belt.
And this is what the World Cup is all about, actually. It's for showcasing all the different nationalities, and all comes together to try and, play this wonderful game that's known as Overwatch. And India, they came here, they played their hearts out. They probably didn't get the result they wanted, but they did show that India is a team, willing, just kind of budding, if you will, in the esports scene as it stands. And I remember that, they had a lot of disadvantages working against them. Very long travel schedule, a lot going against them right here. Italy, tried and tested veteran players, so a very difficult match to go up against in the round one. But here we have it. There's always next year.
There absolutely is, and India will be loving that. They still have that partnership with Harrisburg University as well, so opportunities for the Indian scene to grow even further within the next year and across 2020. But that does it for our first round matchup and sets us up for Japan versus Italy in the bracket C semi-finals, which I think is going to be an actually very interesting match.
Yes,
We've seen Italy be very clean, and Japan, from what we've seen in previous years, always has crazy upset potential.
I think this is a bit of a dark horse year for Japan. We've seen them really come out swinging a lot of against some very good teams in previous years of the World Cup. And this is the first big test for them against Italy. Now, Italy is a bit of a warm-up game for them, if you will, testing the disengagers and whatnot, really just kind of giving them a bit of play time on the stage, if you will. But now here it really gets tough for these teams because remember, single elimination. You lose these initial matches coming in, first to three, you're going to be out. And you're out of the tournament for good. So we will see what those teams are capable of coming up just after this very short break. We're going to try and get the team seated around. And if they don't, I'm going to be going around there. I'm going to be plugging in their keyboards and their mics. And I guarantee you, and the power vested in me, I will start that game. I will start that game, chat. Believe me. We'll see you on the other side.